Hello and welcome to another movie roast. I'm your host Scott. You can find me on Twitter at XOrsonX, and I'm here with Mike. You can find on Twitter at Review and Roast. You can find our Facebook at facebook.com/Review and Roast, and our Instagram at instagram.com/Review and Roast. Today we are going to talk to you about Anon, which is a Netflix original movie. Came out on May 4th. Get it? May the 4th?
No, yeah, we got it.
Yep. So it's pretty new. It's only 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old. So in a world without anonymity or crime, a detective meets a woman who threatens their security. Now, this was written and directed by Andrew Niccol, assuming I'm saying that right. Mm-hmm. And we have for stars, there's quite a few heavy hitters in this thing.
There's a couple.
Clive Owen, who I don't know what happened to him for the last 10 years, but he used to be awesome.
He's been doing stuff.
Afia Bennett, Morgan Allen, and some other peeps we'll get to eventually. So basically,
Amanda Seyfried.
Huh?
Amanda Seyfried.
She wasn't on the first stupid list. I gotta scroll down. She's way down.
She's in there, though.
She is in there, and her name is The Girl.
She's the girl. She's definitely a girl.
So basically, Clive Owen plays a detective called, his name is Sal Freeland, and in this world, basically, think Altered Carbon-ish. Well, not really. It's in the future, but you know how they always say, eventually you're gonna have the internet in your eyeballs. That's basically how this is. So when you're walking around, it scans someone's face. It tells you about them. It tells you.
Yeah, you're basically like on the network.
Right. Yeah. And there's no more. It's kind of odd because there's really no need for detectives at this point, because basically all they do is pull up your file from what you witnessed.
Right.
Because it records what everybody sees 24/7, and people, can access that. Well, it's more, I guess. Not everybody can access. The detectives can access this stuff to prove their case or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to walk up to you on the street and be like, "Yeah, show me the shit."
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he can force you to show him the shit.
Right, and you can share memories with other people, kind of like how sending an email. So it's kind of neat concept. It really is. Mm-hmm. But was it worth it? Dun dun dun. Basically, what they have is they finally, they go through a quick. I don't want to say montage because it's not that quick, but a few quick cases in the beginning where he's like, "Oh, you did this. Oh, we found what happened to your son. Oh, we found this. Yeah. Oh, we know you
played
did
a video. I seen you do this, and then that happened, and then they kind of showed him being able to actually do his own thing with it too. In the case of that necklace, if I recall, where he was basically like, "Yeah, fuck her. I didn't really like her that much." You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, it can be not altered, but parts can be left out, I guess, is a better way to put it.
Well, he just played it from a different point.
Right.
You rewound a few minutes and then you get the real deal. But so it's because he's the one that has access, not the regular people.
Right.
So basically, they start coming across these cases where people are being murdered, but they're watching it from the killer's point of view. So somebody basically is hacking people.
Right.
So that when you go back and play the video, all you see is a gun and the person who got killed get killed.
Being stared at themselves, right, yeah.
Right. So it's kind of...
it's a semi-interesting scenario. And this is actually all chalked up to after he's walking down the street and comes across... I'm going to use the term a glitch in the Matrix, but that's basically what it was.
The same thing.
He's walking down the street, he sees a girl... and she's got no information floating around her. Imagine if you're walking on the street wearing Iron Man's helmet. Everybody's got as soon as your eye leads you, your eye sort of leads you to a person. It frames them out, gives you the name, what they do for a living. It kind of gives you a lot of background.
Kind of like everyone's Facebook right there in front of you.
Right. So he comes across, and this one is unknown. And it's odd. So he just actually chalks it up to being a glitch of some sort or whatevs, and sort of runs back. Then he records it later, or doesn't record it later, but plays it back later They're kind of getting into it, and then this case comes up, and now they're like, well, wait a minute. This is oddly coincidental that I sort of stumbled upon some rando. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, having said that, it's sort of set up the stage of, all right, we think we got a suspect already, luckily enough.
Right.
So, I guess that's all I got.
Well, yeah, and then, so, of course, because he's a detective and he can send his memories out, he shares the memory with his other detective buddies, and they're like, oh, that's fucking weird, okay, so now they're like, well, we don't know anything about her, but, now at least we have something to go by looks-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Until the next day comes and, Sal is like, hey, remember that file I sent you? Send it back because mine's been erased.
Right.
He's like, oh, that's funny you mentioned it.
I was going to ask you the same thing.
Right. So basically, there's a hacker who not only is going around for some unknown reason murdering people, but then erasing themselves from the network, I guess is the best way to put it.
Right.
I don't know how else to explain it. And basically the rest of the movie is Clive Owen and all these detectives trying to figure out how to catch this person. Okay, so that's when Clive Owen decides, or they all decide that he should go undercover because they know that there's like a dark web that does exist, and that's where you would hire those type of people because they talk to some freelancers, some consultants, or whatever.
Yeah, they sort of have their own little secret room where everyone sits there, and it's kind of a tough, boring thing to explain because it's like a room with a table and people are just sitting in there, so it's pretty tough to really film that and keep it interesting. So they try and sort of succeed, I guess, but it does get a little dull, I guess, at times during the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, it kind of does. They do a lot of first-person camera angles so that they can play around with the display that you actually would see in your eyeball if you were there, which is kind of neat. I get what the concept they're going for. But, sometimes it can be like a little, I don't want to say overwhelming, but all right, we get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So basically they decide to go undercover, and he's like, well, I don't think that this person is going to go back super far, so we'll go undercover for a couple of weeks so that if they do check your backstory, they see you, hanging out at the brokerage firm. You're just a rich guy who picked up a hooker, and you need to erase that memory so your girlfriend can't, whatever, find you.
Right.
Or can't bust you out or whatever. And so, and it's weird because what you see for the day is all backed up on the network. So if that gets erased, you can't recall it, but you still have your memories. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they remember what this girl looked like, sort of, but they just can't recall the memory and rewatch the video, basically. Mm-hmm. So he's just going to hit the dark web, put out an ad for someone that, something needs to be fixed, and wait until the right person answers the ad, which is basically what he did. And you come to find he finally meets her, and I don't know, she seemed like a really, I don't want to say nice girl, but the simple fact that she was like, I'm only going to look at what you want me to look at. But he was asking a lot of questions, which to me would immediately be like, this is a cop. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a sting of some sorts. I mean, he was literally like pushing the envelope with some of the questioning he was doing.
A little bit. I kind of noticed that too, but it was sort of, I think it was more, they sort of played it off as their...
He was curious.
Yeah, like curious about getting in them pants. You know what I mean?
That too.
So that's sort of how I chalked it up, was he was more trying to make conversation to try and, get her to want to bang or something. That's kind of the way I sort of played it off in my brain to justify it, I guess. You know what I mean?
Justified.
Yep.
No, I agree with that. And I mean, really, before he meets her, he actually, just to rewind a little bit to go a little more into her hacking, or I should say somebody's hacking. Mm-hmm. It gets to the point where not only can she just erase the couple of minutes that you may have seen her out on the street, but now she can manipulate what you're seeing in real time,
and or implant into your let's say database.
Right.
So if someone wants to look up what you did last Thursday, she could actually change that and show you doing something that maybe you weren't And that's basically how she does the cover-up anyways.
Which I did want to bring that up because she mentions immediately right away, like, I'm only going to look at stuff you give me the permission to go ahead and look at. And then she's like, well, I'll just fill it with your past. And then she starts going back and looking through shit.
Well, it was more like B-roll from the time frame allotted.
I mean, I know, but still.
It was like the other night sitting at his apartment or what have you. So, yeah I mean...
There was definitely some holes that that came into to play here. But I mean, really, I know it's only been 10 minutes, but I mean, there's really not all that much to this.
Nah, legit, that's all I got, really. I mean, again, like I said, the story's pretty decent. I think we gave you the gist of it. I mean, the trailer's, I don't want to say self-explanatory, but it shows some stuff, and this is not a sci-fi... spaceship and rockets and aliens and shit. This is more like the new Philip K. Dick series on Amazon.
You know, I only watched the first episode.
Electric Dreams.
I loved the first episode, and I didn't keep going.
It sort of seems more like something like along the lines of that, almost as if this was almost their counteraction to that exact series, but I'm sure it was just semi-coincidental.
You know what I want to do?
And maybe I'm reaching. And
I do want to, quote unquote, I guess, spoilers. If you don't want to hear anything, you might want to, fast forward or stop it now. But I do want to touch on basically the ending when you find out who's actually doing the killing.
Yeah.
They never really tied him to her very well. Like, who the fuck was he? And they basically just made it some rando, which... kind of
like completely random, but yeah.
Like the movie was okay, but the way they ended it like killed any chance of a high score, I guess.
Yeah.
Not that there was going to be a high score anyway, but you know what I mean, like cuz she was like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. You know what I mean? And he's going around doing this and claiming he's doing it for her and him. It's like this is not making any sense to me at all whatsoever.
No, I'm into it.
So other than that, I really don't have anything else because there's really, honest to God, not that much to this movie.
No,
there's really not.
That's it.
And it sucks because we usually go a lot longer, and I'm starting to feel like this is super short.
No, whatever. We get to the point. That's it.
Yeah, there's not all much to it. So with that, instead of trying to drag it out for no fucking reason, I'm gonna give it a 5. It was all right.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 6.
Yeah,
I actually.
I mean, there were some neat aspects to it, but I think that they didn't flesh out enough of it.
I'm going to give it a 6 based on just like concept alone. I like sci-fi stuff. I want them to continue to keep doing these things, like What Happened to Monday and.
See, What Happened to Monday was great.
No, I know. Great, but also they have out right now The Titan, which hopefully we'll be podcasting on that soon.
I think the concept
Cloverfield Paradox.
What they were trying to do here, I think. They have a great idea. I just wish I was in the writer's room to help them and point some things out.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I guess is the way to put it. Like, dude, this is why sci-fi isn't as popular.
They might have needed some visual editing as well.
And I don't want to be that guy to be saying it because I haven't finished the series yet. But, like, as far as, like, sci-fi series go, I just started Lost in Space. Like, I'm floored at how like ridiculous like this show is, and like, I mean that
how it looks,
how in the best way possible. Like the story is fucking, it keeps you in. It's super suspenseful at times. Like it's unbelievable.
I can't wait till we do this podcast. Then
are you gonna crush it?
Well,
whatever. We'll get there. I'm not even halfway through yet. So I just watched a few episodes, and I was like, I mean, from back in the day was the danger.
Oh yeah, no, like, no doubt. And visually stunning that show is.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong.
For sure.
I mentioned the one thing, whatever. We'll talk about it when we get there.
We're doing
on Anon. So there you have it. It is what it is. It's watchable, but if you got anything better to do, you might want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're into sci-fi stuff, it might be something that you're into. If you are not into sci-fi stuff, do not bother watching this movie.
I mean, at the very least, it's an interesting concept. So, I mean, it is worth checking out. But
so if you're into like that Philip K. Dick shit from Amazon or some of this other Netflix original sci-fi material, then you might enjoy this as well. Like
I mean, if you remember, well, let me see. Let me go back and see what I gave The Altered Carbon.
You didn't give it a very high score, 6 or 7.
6.5. Yeah. This one, well, obviously.
What did I give Altered Carbon? Higher, 8.
Altered Carbon. You went 8.5.
Yeah, I actually really, really love that show.
Yeah. This one, like Altered Carbon was decent. I'm not pissed that I watched it. This was not as good.
Do you know what both of these have that I love? Boobs.
Yep. BEWBS.
Yup.
But this one, they're first person. And third person. But it doesn't matter.
Ooh, there was some third person making out. Remember when with the two chicks that were that were keeping their same sex relationship a secret?
Yep.
That was actually
Spoilers.
not gonna lie. If you're into that kind of shit, you might as well just watch this movie for that. 'Cause it was all right.
It was not bad.
Kind of dug it.
All right, so that was Anon. It was a Netflix original. It's only a couple weeks old, so I mean, it's probably flashed in front of your faces a billion times already. It's worth a
Except
check
for
out.
when you're looking for it.
Yeah, exactly. So, as always, you can find me on the Twittens at XOrsonX, and you can find Mike at Review and Roast. Check out our Facebook at facebook.com/reviewandroast, and check out all of our podcasts at comicroast.com.